Hello everyone and welcome back to Bogart on Movies right here on WXEL TV in beautiful Palm Beach County. I hope you're ready for a terrific and safe summer. I sure am. This week we're going to have some fun with music. We've got two of the greatest movie musicals ever made, with our classic pick being MGM's brilliant Singin' in the Rain, on everyone's top 10 movie list. And for my pick, we have the groundbreaking in so many ways. Can you guess? 1977. And we all had Saturday Night Fever. Yep, can't wait for that one. All that plus Carla's Campy Pics and your emails. So let's get started. The first movie I'm going to talk about isn't on the big screen. It premiered to rave reviews last week on HBO. It's Steven Soderbergh's last directing gig, the much ballyhooed Behind the Candelabra.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Liberace.
This is my friend, Scott Thorson.
You were incredible out there.
Well, this must be fate. I have a great idea. Why don't you come work for me?
As what?
I want to be everything to you, Scott. I want to be father, brother, lover, best friend.
I'll do whatever you want.
I want you to make Scott look like this. You will make me feel so young.
Why would a grown man want to adopt another grown man?
So we can be family.
All I do is give and give and give.
I can't live like this.
You're being paranoid, Scott. Are you stoned?
I'm not. I'm upset. Don't change the subject.
I don't even have my own face!
No one has ever been closer to me than this young man.
Now, before I go on, the way they did the piano playing scene, since Michael Douglas can't play piano, was to use a Juilliard-trained pianist, then use CG, computer graphics, to stick Michael Douglas's head on the piano player's body. Check this out.
Well, I really thank you all for joining me in this boogie woogie, and I'd like to try a little experiment. I've been playing this boogie woogie at 8 beats to the bar. I'd like to try playing it now at 16 beats a bar.
That is just so cool. Anyway, the movie's based on the book by Scott Thorson about Thorson's relationship with Liberace. That's important because Thorson paints himself as a kind of wide-eyed innocent drawn into the drug and sex-fueled relationship by the mean old Liberace, and didn't care about the money. Yeah, right. And Liberace comes off as a real jerk, basically concerned about image, money, and sex. I know there's the Liberace side of the story, but that's not what this movie is about. That said, this is a very interesting, very good film. The acting is superb. Matt Damon as Thorson, very believable, about as good as Matt Damon can be. He really captured some of the man's skeeviness. And the supporting actors, what an eclectic group. Rob Lowe, Dan Aykroyd, Debbie Reynolds, Paul Reiser, all were just really good. Rob Lowe was a gas. But Michael Douglas as Liberace gives as outstanding a performance as you'll ever see. He'll get an Emmy, he'll get a Golden Globe and SAG nomination. And if he were eligible for Oscar consideration, he's not, because it wasn't a studio movie, because no studio would fund it. He'd get nominated there too. His performance is really remarkable. Check this out. Here's a look at the real Liberace.
How did you like the entrance? Was that okay? Did you like that? Oh, great. Well, Good. I have to tell you how I got the idea. I had the wonderful honor just recently of being invited over to London to give a Royal Command performance for the royal family. So, you know, I figured such an important occasion, I better give them the works. And then after it was all over, I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a lasting remembrance of that beautiful occasion to bring back to Las Vegas to share with all of you? So I brought back a souvenir, the Rolls Royce. What do you think? Do you like it, huh? You do. Wonderful. Oh, great.
When you watch the movie, see if you are not amazed at how brilliantly Douglas actually brings back to life Liberace's speech, look, and style. Truly amazing. And as for director Soderbergh, if this really was his last movie, what a way to go. He and Douglas really captured not only the seaminess and neediness of Liberace's life with Thorson, but also Liberace's glitz, his outrageousness, the sheer ridiculousness of his persona that somehow made him the highest paid entertainer in the world. Now, there were some issues. I would have liked to have seen more of the supporting cast. As good as they were backdrops in the movie. The film didn't really go into any depth at all, especially about Liberace. That made for a one-dimensional plot that was basically sex and drugs and rock and roll. But then again, what's wrong with that? I'm giving it a 4 out of 5, but Michael Douglas gets a 10. Now, for the next movie we're going to look at, I've got a mea culpa for you right off the bat. I'm not a Star Trek guy. I've never seen 1 minute of the television series. I haven't seen any of the other Star Trek movies. I've never been into Star Trek at all. That aside, I went to see Star Trek Into Darkness, in 3D, mind you, see if a non-Trekkie could enjoy it, or even get it. Get it? I'm not so sure. Enjoy it? Yeah.
You think your world is safe. It is an illusion. Enjoy these final moments of peace.
By now, all of you have heard what happened in London. The man who did it is one of our top agents.
Your commanders have committed a crime I cannot forgive. None of you are safe.
Clear the road!
Have I got your attention now?
This could just be the beginning.
I request permission to go after him. Starfleet is not about vendetta, Kirk.
Maybe it should be, sir.
The basic plot centers on Captain James Kirk and his search for Khan, who's a Starfleet member turned criminal. Khan, who bombed a secret Starfleet installation and then escaped to Kronos, which is home to the Klingons. But of course, for fans, this movie is much more than the plot, and that's my problem. The history here just loses me. That said, I've heard of some of this stuff, and I do think that all the names of years past, they're all accounted for.
Captain on the bridge!
Lieutenant, we have an open channel, Mr. Spock.
The heat's frying his comms, but we still have contact.
Spock!
I have activated the device, Captain. When the countdown is complete, the reaction should render the volcano inert.
Yeah, and that's gonna render him inert.
Should we have use of the transporters?
Negative, sir. Not with these magnetic fields.
I need to beam Spock back to the ship. Give me one way to do it.
Maybe if we had a direct line of sight, if we got
Hold on,
closer.
wee man. You're talking about an active volcano, sir. If that thing erupts, I can't guarantee we can withstand the heat.
I don't know that we can maintain that kind of altitude.
Our shuttle was concealed by the ash cloud, but the Enterprise is too large. If utilized in a rescue effort, it would be revealed to the indigenous species.
Spock, nobody knows the rules better than you, but there has got to be an exception.
None. Such action violates the Prime Directive.
Shut up, Spock. We're trying to save you, damn it.
Doctor, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Spock, we're talking about your life!
The rule cannot be broken under any
Spock! Try to get him back online.
So my bottom line, this non-Trekkie liked it. I thought J.J. Abrams did a fantastic job. His direction, along with some great special effects, really kept the film moving at a wicked fast pace. And visually, it was very dramatic and so huge, so big that I really felt like I was way in the future. In fact, I don't like heights, and sometimes the movie was visually so big and the buildings and the scenes were so huge that it actually got to me in the theater. You know that don't look down feeling you get? And it was well acted. Chris Pine as Kirk, Zachary Quinto as Spock, Zoe Saldana as Uhura, Bruce Greenwood as Admiral Pike, all good, as were Bones and Scotty and Benedict Cumberbatch as Khan. The whole group, very well done. I'll give it a 4 out of 5, and I imagine if you know the franchise, you'll rate it higher. So Carla and I had just gotten home after going to see my mom, Lauren Bacall, and Carla's mom in New York last week. We decided to look for a good movie on TV. So we went to On Demand and fell into the see it before it's in theaters trap. The movie is called Three Geezers, and believe me, this one should never make it to any theater near anyone.
Trick or treat! Isn't there an age limit on trick-or-treating?
Just give us some candy,
I just want to find out what it really feels like to be old.
Every morning, 6 a.m., I have a nice, strong bowel movement. Of course, I don't wake up till 7.
I'll just hang out here and see what the geezers are up to.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm going to play some laser tag with some elderly folks. You wanna watch?
Happy Halloween. Wait, is this Ding Dong Ditch by a 100-year-old?
The movie's about an actor played by J.K. Simmons. I actually like him. He's the guy who was on the TV show Oz, and he's now in those funny We Are Farmers commercials. Anyway, he wants to research a part, so he goes into an independent living home and follows around 3 old geezers. Not a bad premise, but the praise ends there. One of the many problems with this film is that instead of maybe debunking some elderly stereotypes, the whole thing was full of them. Bathroom humor, elderly sex, old people drunk and rapping. It was embarrassing. It was vulgar. And worst of all, none of it was funny. In fact, the only good part of the whole thing was my friend Kevin Pollak's great imitation of Christopher Walken. So here's that scene, just so you don't have to see the movie.
Trick or treat!
It's a damn good question you've asked, fellas, this trick or treat. Quite the conundrum, really. Having said that, my costumed friends, as fate would have it, I too have a question. Brace yourselves, it's a doozy. Which one of you can guess what I've buried under my house? Where you going? Hey, I got Reese's Pieces in here. And Winston Lights. Come back.
That is so perfect. Pollak is so good and so funny. If you get a chance to see him at a comedy club, go. You won't be disappointed. As for this movie, don't rent it, don't go to it. It's horrible. I couldn't wait for it to be over. It gets a big fat 0 from me. I'll be back in a moment with a look at a classic on Bogart on Movies.
It's an exciting time, but it's just the beginning.
I can do this. I can do anything.
This summer, PBS is the place for mystery.
An English woman has disappeared from the train.
I'm a good detective. A single drop can kill a man within seconds.
For discovery.
The relics appear to be those of the Buddha himself.
And for celebration.
You are a party crowd, aren't you?
All year long, support the one place that can take you any place.
Though there are a number of great movie musicals, Sound of Music, Oliver, and The King and I, just to name a few, most of those are adapted from the stage. In this case, though, this movie musical was written for the big screen. It was named the 5th greatest movie of all time, 1952's Singin' in the Rain. Hit it, Billy.
Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously.
But Moses, he noses, his toes aren't roses, as Moses supposes his toes to be.
Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously.
A Mose is a Mose.
A rose is a rose.
A toes is a toes. Hoop-de-doodle-doodle. Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously. For Moses, he noses, his toes aren't roses, as Moses supposes his toes to be.
Moses
supposes his toes are roses.
Moses,
he knew my Moses, his toes are roses,
as Moses supposes his toes to be.
That was, of course, Gene Kelly, the master, and the great Donald O'Connor, who could dance even though he smoked 4 packs of cigarettes a day. 4. O'Connor was still one of the few who could keep up with Kelly. By the way, before filming On the Town later on, Frank Sinatra was so nervous he was going to have to dance with Kelly, he knew he couldn't keep up. Of course, he was the chairman of the board, Frank, so it all ended up working out just fine. And look at a really young Debbie Reynolds. Do you remember how good she was?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to you.
Wow, and she wasn't even a dancer, she was a gymnast. She said that scene was so tough, her feet were bleeding afterwards. The movie's basically about Hollywood going from silent films to talkies. But this baby's about music, 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 Hollywood style. So many great songs, and one song, and that one performance for the ages.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. The sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love. Let the stormy clouds chase everyone from the place. Come on with the rain, I've a smile on my face. I walk down the lane with a happy refrain, just singing, singing in the rain.
Kelly shot that scene while he was sick with 103 fever. Can you imagine that? Most of the songs, including that one, were written by Arthur Freed and Nacio Herb Brown. Google those two. And some more credits here. It was directed by Kelly and Stanley Donen. Co-star Gene Hagen was nominated for an Oscar, and it also had Sid Charisse and Rita Moreno. The screenplay was by Betty Comden and Adolph Green. They weren't married, by the way, both friends of my parents from way back. I knew them and their kids, Adam and Amanda, very well. Do yourselves a favor. Sit the family down and enjoy this beautiful Hollywood musical. Well, now it's time to dip into the Bogart on Movies mailbox. Grace and Del Rey ask, do you think movies today use special effects as a crutch instead of developing a good story, just in order to pack in a lot of very young audiences? It seems the more computer-generated spectacular graphics in a movie, the less sense it makes. Interesting point, Grace. I think CG is great, as long as it's used correctly, of course. It can be used as a crutch to cover up the lack of story, read Fast and Furious 6, but CG has so many positives when it's used right. You can film a scene with 10,000 extras using CG people. You can make movies like Shrek. It goes on and on. It saves a lot of time and money, and it's great technology, and it should be used. A lot of movies wouldn't be nearly as good without it. Take The Life of Pi or Avatar, Jurassic Park, or Star Trek, even the upcoming World War Z. All those movies are bigger and better because of CG. The bigger problem for me is 3D. 3D is just so overused and for me so distracting that I won't go to a 3D movie anymore. And why so much 3D? Not only because it brings in more young people, but also because the second biggest movie market in the world is China. And they love 3D. And Hollywood loves money. Now to Tom in Pembroke Pines. And he writes, how do you, if it's even possible, keep your dad's and mom's image from being used for purely commercial purposes by any company that wants to do so? Well, Tom, it's kind of complicated, but here goes. First of all, due to the rights of publicity and name and likeness after death, both federal and, in the case of California, state, it's illegal for a company to use my father's name and likeness without my sister's and my permission for at least 75 years after his death. In Indiana, it's 100 years. And we have a corporation called Bogart LLC that handles all that stuff, goes after infringers and buys trademarks, and makes sure my father's name is only used the way we want it. As far as Mom, since she's still around, thankfully, no one can do anything without her permission. You can email me, send me your comments and questions to stevebogart@wxel.org and include your name and your hometown. Claytu, Barada, Nikto. Know what that means? We'll tell you after you watch the trailer for this 1951 classic and see if you remember the name of the robot.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Drew Pearson. We bring you this special radio television broadcast in order to give you the very latest information on an amazing phenomenon, the arrival of a space ship in Washington. The Army has taken every precaution to meet any emergency which may develop. Just a minute, ladies and gentlemen, I think something is happening.
I came here to give you these facts. But if you threaten to extend your violence, this earth of yours will be reduced to a burned out cinder.
But he's a robot. Without you, what could he do?
There's no limit to what he could do. He could destroy the earth. All vehicles, close in. Let's go.
Now, Claytu was the name of the man from outer space, played by Michael Rennie. Barada and Nikto had no English translation, just words made up to sound like some alien space language. And the name of Rennie's robot pal? Gort, G-O-R-T. No special meaning there either, but a pretty good name. Give me a gourd of milk. No, sorry. Now it's time for my real hit, and we're really going to have some fun. Take yourselves back to 1977. The war in Vietnam was finally over, the nation was beginning to heal, and there was a new craze sweeping the country. The disco age was upon us.
somebody told me I was good in my life? Twice. This race today and dance at the disco. Well, I mean, I could dance with you, but, you know, you're not my dream girl or nothing like that.
Are you as good in bed as you are on that dance floor?
Don't you know, you make it with some of these chicks, they think you gotta dance with them.
He's very good, yeah. He's the best. Hey, man, he's great. He's the king out there.
John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever.
She can dance, you know that? She got the wrong partner, of course, but she can dance.
Okay, listen, I like it. We could dance together. That's it. We could just dance together and nothing more, nothing personal.
That is so great. The wonderful critic Gene Siskel said, 1 minute into Saturday Night Fever, you know this picture's onto something, that it knows what it's talking about. He is so right. This movie is extraordinary. It's just so much fun and rings so true that you forget it's a movie. It catapulted John Travolta, who got an Oscar nomination from Vinnie Barbarino on Cotter, to an international superstar. The amazing soundtrack may be the most popular movie soundtrack ever. And it catapulted the Bee Gees to international stardom. Carolyn Gorney, Donna Pescow, they became household names. And watch for Fran Drescher in her feature film debut. And Monty Rock III, remember him? Even Johnny T's mother and sister were in the movie. And this was director John Badham's finest work. The pace of the times perfectly reflected in the film. Now here's some trivia about this wonderful movie. To get ready for his role, Travolta ran 2 miles a day and danced for 3 hours every day. And years after the movie was released, Fran Drescher revealed that she was not wearing underwear when she did her scene with Travolta just before his major solo dance. Now I dare you to tell me you're not sitting there at home and smiling and thinking back. It's impossible not to. I urge you to watch this one. How can you not? See you all next week.